What is up? What's up? What? What's up, everybody? I'm done. This is why I don't bring in our show. This is why I don't bring in the show. Okay. All right. Welcome to the Bold Women Podcast. My name is Maria Weiler, and I am here. Okay, I am here with my friend and co-host, Meryl Wilson.
I have no words. What was that?
Guys, I'm like wheezy and I have no clue.
I think she's hit a tired spell. She's not gotten to eat much today as of this recording, so she's running on fumes.
I'm running on fumes.
Ladies
I was in
and
office,
gents.
ran home, had a hair appointment, ran back, and now we're here.
We're
Today.
here. Okay, yeah.
So we're
Let's just first of all discuss social media.
Yeah, Meryl's got something
Right,
really important
yeah.
to tell us.
Newsflash. We're on social media.
Woo, woo.
Okay, we're on social media. We're on Spotify. You can leave comments, and we can now comment back to you on
Real
there,
time.
on the app even.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I'm going to figure out how to do that. You can leave voice notes. You can take screenshots of the interface of whatever it is that you are listening to us on, whatever platform, and then post it to your story. Tag us with a comment if you want, and we will repost you, all that good stuff. Also, if you have any ideas, stuff you want us to talk about, let us know.
Let us know. We'd love to talk about it.
I know there are several of you that are personal friends of ours that listen. So if there's something you want covered, you better tell me.
If you want Meryl and Maria's take on something,
If you want this podcast to continue,
we need help with ideas because
we'll never run out of them.
we'll never run out of them.
But
But
it'd be great to hear,
what
to like
people
discuss
want.
stuff what you guys want to hear about.
because
So.
Meryl and I can figure out what we want to talk about all day long.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
But we want to know what the people want.
Yeah. So anyway, get at us. Maria, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about King Solomon.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so basically, King Solomon has been known to be like the wealthiest, richest. I mean, I know these are all the same words, but man who's ever lived on the compared to now. Bill Gates has nothing on King
Elon
Solomon.
Musk has got nothing on this guy.
Nothing on this dude. Like, this dude is the wealthiest of wealthy. He's a ruler. He's all these different things. And so his story is wrapped up in the book of Ecclesiastes. So per a Google search,
Well, it's not totally
wrapped up, but a chunk of it is in this book.
Why don't you read your notes?
Well, that's what I was getting ready to do. I was going verbatim, and then I got a little jazzy, and then she brought me back. Brought me back.
Brought. Yes.
All right. So per Google search of over 2,050,000 results, the book of Ecclesiastes is a biblical book that explores the meaning and purpose of life. So this is also what Solomon is known for. Like, he just wanted wisdom, and the dude got a ton of it.
He got a lot of it.
It is written by Solomon, who calls himself the teacher or the preacher, and the book consists of 4 main sections. So
what are they?
Well, so we're looking at Solomon and Ecclesiastes today and where these kind of keep blending in. So the 4 main sections are, the first one, the teacher, aka Solomon, relates his life experience from his search for meaning. He finds that everything is vanity and chasing after the wind.
Okay.
And that's in Ecclesiastes 1:1 through 2:26. The second part is the teacher reflects on what he has learned about achievement, wealth, power, and the other earthly pursuits.
Okay.
He observes that there is a time for everything and that God has made everything beautiful in its own time. And that's Ecclesiastes 3:1 through 5:20.
Okay.
The teacher gives practical advice on wisdom and obedience. He warns against folly, injustice, and oppression. He urges the readers to enjoy life as a gift from God. Chapter 6 through chapter 8:17. Oh, 8:17.
It's your birthday.
It's my birthday. Okay. And then point 4, the teacher tells what he has concluded about destiny and God. He affirms that God is the judge of all and that the whole duty of humans is to fear God and keep his commandments. He ends with these words: the end of the matter, all has been heard.
All right. Well, the purpose of that.
Yeah. So our good friends at gotquestions.org have the purpose.
Yeah, which says Ecclesiastes is a book of perspective. The narrative of the preacher or the teacher. The preacher, I guess, is referenced in the King Jimmy version. And then the teacher is like NIV, basically. It reveals the depression that inevitably results from seeking happiness in worldly things. This book gives Christians a chance to see the world through the eyes of a person who, though very wise, is trying to find meaning in the temporary human things. Most every form of worldly pleasure is explored by the preacher, and none of it gives him a sense of meaning. In the end, the preacher comes to accept that faith in God is the only way to find personal meaning. He decides to accept the fact that life is brief and ultimately worthless without God. The preacher advises the reader to focus on an eternal God instead of temporary pleasure.
Mic drop.
So, yeah, he had all of these things, and he got to just revel and enjoy them. And when you read through this book, it is incredibly depressing.
Yeah. No, it is.
It almost might be worse than Lamentations.
You think? Yeah. Yeah. Whoa.
Lamentations is long-winded, but yeah.
But it is a good lament.
But this guy is basically just goes on and on. Like,
about how it
carries
worth nothing.
on about how this is literally somebody who has everything he could possibly want, anytime, any place, anywhere.
And, okay, let alone by world standards, this dude had every woman possible. Didn't he have, like, how many?
He had, like, 700 wives and 400 concubines, I believe. Or the numbers flipped. Something like
just
that.
something outrageous.
He had over
so
1,000
it was,
women.
like, literally everything that our world screams right now was at his fingertips.
I was going to say, in the introduction for this man, Solomon, you went over, all the accolades and this rich, but his father was somebody of very importance, and
David,
and he was able to build this huge temple for the Israelites. So
yes,
I think that's
that is where they
to
could
throw
place.
on.
Yes, that's true.
That's
that is
true.
where he built the temple where the Ark of the Covenant could rest.
Yeah.
And that was an important task that was given to him because his father David, I actually was just reading about this in my Devo this morning.
Get out.
His father David.
I love when this happens.
I do too. Let me just pull it up really quick just so
grab
I
it.
don't get misquoted. I don't misquote the Bible.
Grab it
here.
real fast.
That's so funny.
I can make additional sound effects because I already started making them from the get-go to fill
Where
the
are we
time.
in Chronicles here.
Chronicles.
No, not this one. Okay. Preparations for the temple. Okay, so I'm going to kind of paraphrase because
who's this one by? Just to reference it.
This is David in first.
I'm saying which Devo is this in?
Oh, this is just in the Bible in a year.
Oh, okay.
With Nikki Gumbel.
Perfect. Thanks.
The British guy. So let's see. Okay. It's like First Chronicles 22, 2 through 19. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically there's preparations for the temple that was being built. And so David gave the orders to call together the foreigners living in Israel. He assigns them the task of preparing finished stone for building the temple of God. So basically, I'll skip down to verse 5. It says, "My son Solomon is still young and inexperienced, and since the temple to be built for the Lord must be a magnificent structure, famous and glorious throughout the world, I will begin making preparations for it now." So David collected vast amounts of building materials before his death. Then David sent for his son Solomon and instructed him to build a temple for the Lord, God of Israel. He says, so this is the important part. He says, "My son, I wanted to build a temple to honor the name of the Lord my God." David told him, "But the Lord said to me, you have killed many men in the battles you fought, and since you have shed so much blood in my sight, you will not be the one to build a temple to honor my name. But you will have a son who will be a man of peace. I will give him peace with his enemies in all the surrounding lands. His name will be Solomon, and I will give peace and quiet to Israel during his reign. He is the one who will build a temple to honor my name. He will be my son, and I will be his father, and I will secure the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever. So that build up. Thank you for bringing that point up.
Good point,
Byron. It is good to know that context, because it wasn't like Solomon was like some spoiled little brat. It was like, no, he was chosen and selected to carry out this task. And I also love that David was like, this is why David is also known as a
man after God's own heart.
Yes. And the Lord says that about him, because David's like, even though like I want to do something to honor the Lord, and I think that this giant, awesome structure to house the covenant will be super great, but I understand that I cannot. So what's he going to do? He doesn't just sit there and be like, son, figure it out. He gets everything ready for him.
He's like, let me collect this stuff.
This is like thousands of tons. It says in here, like, it was like innumerable. It says he provided innumerable cedar logs for the men of Tyre and Sidon had brought vast amounts of cedar to him. Like, he did everything he could to set his son up for success.
Right.
And that was just so, it was just so great, because I love that. I mean, he knew that he had fallen short and still was like, I'm still gonna honor the Lord, and the way that I can do that is I can help my son, because my son has chosen to do this. I think that's great. So that kind of paints a picture of like, of where Solomon came from,
right,
and what kind of guy he is. It wasn't like he was just this like, you know, horrible person,
or like this little
spoiled brat,
like,
yeah.
What's what I'm looking for? He wasn't like Thor, and he had to like work to get his honor.
Yeah. Yeah, this was just, he was blessed.
Like he was, yeah. The I always think too, like when you're talking about David and the supplies he got, like as you read through the Old Testament, sometimes it's really neat to see how particular God was about his temple. And and there's even, so this is just like a little side note, like don't ever downplay like your craft or the things that you love.
Yeah.
Where one of the very first times in scripture where it says like the Spirit fell on someone was someone who was like created to help design the temple.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like someone who spoke or who was in front of a stage. It was someone who was like God literally had created for that time to help build and like carve stone. And I just think that's always like something really cool to think about, where the way that like sometimes we categorize when you walk into a church and you see someone speaking on the stage, we're automatically like, they must be holy. And it's like, actually the person holding the door for you is just as called and just as anointed to do whatnot. So I know, whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
So, should we read some of what these verses in Ecclesiastes say? Like some of these key verses?
Yes.
Okay. So Ecclesiastes 1:2 says, vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanities of vanities, all is vanity.
Okay.
Basically meaning everything's vanity.
Ecclesiastes 1:18 says, for with much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief.
Which, okay, I think a modern day phrase would be,
that is what you remember. I can't remember what episode it was, but I had said something that you had like not heard before. It was like some particular story, but I said, if you ask, I think it might have been the episode on wisdom. Duh. But I had said, if you ask for wisdom, you better prepare for the lessons that are going to teach it to you. Like you should expect difficulties or hard times to come. And I believe it was after reading that verse that it made me go, yeah, okay, that makes total sense.
It makes me think of the phrase, the ignorance is bliss, in a way where it's like, in all honesty, there's part of that where it's like, I don't want to know. Like, okay, anyways, Ecclesiastes 2:11 says that when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. So that's like just with looking at like the works of your hands, it was all meaningless.
Yeah, that's good.
And then Ecclesiastes 12:1 says, remember your creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come and the years of approach, when you say, I find no pleasure in them.
Yeah, basically saying don't get to a point in your life where everything has been stripped away from you. Like, have that relationship with your creator, have that relationship with God. 'Cause it'll just be so much better. Okay.
Just trust us.
Ecclesiastes 12:13 says, "Now all has been heard. Here's the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." All right. Well, sums
go.
it up.
So I think we kind of want to maybe go into the foreshadowings here, since we kind of did a summary already. So one of the things you will start to notice in like within scripture, there's things called like type and shadow, and a lot of like Old Testament will point to things that are to come. So it's like there's a lot of foreshadowings.
Okay.
So for all of the vanities described in the book of Ecclesiastes, the answer is Christ.
Okay.
So the point of why we're all here, everything we point to is Jesus, right?
Yes.
So according to Ecclesiastes 3:17, God judges the righteous and the wicked, and the righteous are only those who are found in Christ, which goes to later on in the New Testament of 2 Corinthians 5:21. God has placed a desire for eternity in our hearts, which comes from Ecclesiastes 3:11. And then he has provided the way to eternal life through Christ in John 3:16. Once again, Old Testament to New Testament. We are reminded that striving after the world's wealth is not only vanity because it does not satisfy from Ecclesiastes 5:10, but even if we could attain it without Christ, we would lose our souls, and what profit there is in that, which
is there in that.
Yeah. And that's Mark 8:36. So we're going literally from Ecclesiastes to New Testament, Ecclesiastes to New Testament.
Yeah.
Ultimately, every disappointment and vanity described in Ecclesiastes has its remedy in Christ, the wisdom of God, and the only true meaning to be found in life.
That's good.
What does that actually mean?
Well,
like, what practical application would you get for that?
Well, it says here this is from gotquestions.org. Yeah, probably. Says Ecclesiastes offers the Christian an opportunity to understand the emptiness and despair that those who do not know God grapple with. Those who do not have a saving faith in Christ are faced with a life that will ultimately end and become irrelevant. So if there's no salvation and no God, then not only is there no point in life, but no purpose or direction to it either. The world under the sun, apart from God, is frustrating, cruel, unfair, brief, and utterly meaningless. But with Christ, life is but a shadow of the glories to come in a heaven that is only accessible through him. Sheesh. That right there always makes me just confused as to why people refuse God. You know, like, people just dig their heels in and are so determined to be anti-God. And for what? Like, I'm just so like, what?
Do you think it's an element where people know that they can, when you live a life and you claim to know that, you are held responsible for your life?
Yeah, I mean,
where there's like a weight to it of like, okay, if I claim I believe in God, then, or I claim it, especially if I claim to believe in Christ, because I know, like, we've had conversations too, where it's like,
true. You have to own it.
You have to, well, and there's lots of times you'll hear people use the word God instead of Jesus because it's more tolerable, like in that way, because lots of religions have quote unquote God.
Yeah, and a lot of people like the idea of God, but they don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah.
Right.
That's their issue. A lot of people don't believe that Jesus was.
So I think in this aspect, but it's if we take it even from just the God aspect, right? I think people know, if I believe that there's this, then there is something who created me, and I will be accountable for the life that was given to me. And I think sometimes we just don't want that.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, yeah, that just sort of, it tracks with the state of our society today. You know, people live like a hedonistic lifestyle where it's like, if I'm not hurting anyone, then it's fine. I can do whatever I want. But
ultimately, doesn't that hurt people anyways?
What do you define
as hurting?
As hurting someone?
Yeah.
You know, because that's all up for interpretation. So if that's up for interpretation, then, you know, anything can go.
Well, thinking about today's culture, how do you think vanity is celebrated in today's culture?
Yeah.
As Byron goes to take a selfie.
Yeah. I don't know. Social media is really bad.
Yeah.
Social media is really bad. It's a place to showboat. I mean, social media can be used as a tool, but I think a lot of people, definitely use that as a way to project a facade of their life that isn't actually real. Of course, we all know that. And if you don't know that, then by golly, now you know.
Now you know. Okay, so I have a story for this question, but I want to ask you it first.
Oh, no. What?
Okay, so have you ever wanted something so much and then a few months later, like, you don't even really care that you have it anymore? Like, once you get it. So this idea, like, I think one of the things we can look at King Solomon and throughout here, it's like, whenever you get what you have, but because it is vanity, it doesn't really matter. You're like, the satisfaction doesn't last long.
Yeah.
So, like, what's something in your life that's like, oh, I wanted that, and then you got it, and you're like, all right, cool.
Well, I'll take it back to the, like during the pandemic. So I was like working out a lot, the gym was closed, but I was out like running sprints and stuff every morning and doing push-ups and whatever. But I started to lose weight and I was feeling pretty good about myself. And, then I got those stimmies. What did this idiot do? She didn't save them. No. Why would she do that?
You're supposed to stimulate the economy.
Exactly. That was the whole point of it. But, I decided to spend that. And what was I doing? I was buying like dresses. So I was like, I can wear this to a wedding. Like totally. Definitely. I'm going to look great in this. So I ordered it. And then, I was like this whole just thing. And I even bought some clothes that would, show off my body a little bit more. And I was like, as soon as I'm allowed to hit the club, I'm going out. I'm out on the streets. I went out to the streets and I tripped and fell right into the gutter.
Mary was like, it wasn't even a street, it was a gravel road.
Had to go home. But none of that stuff mattered because I was like, what am I doing with this?
Yeah.
Like, and I was so mad at myself because it was like, can't really return the stuff. Oh, and guess what I did? Like, what? I grew out of some of it because on my fitness journey, gained some muscle. So
joke's on me.
Joke's on me because that's what happens when you go on a fitness journey. You lose a ton of like body fat, and then what's left is like whatever muscle you've got. And it turns out I did not have a lot of muscle. So then so I could wear a lot smaller clothing for a period of time. Mm-hmm. And then when I started building muscle, I was like, this doesn't work. I'll never wear this again. I'll say goodbye to that size for all eternity. So I went to actually sell some of my clothes. I tried like one of those websites. I was insulted because there was like a pair of heels or something that was, I had worn them maybe 2 times and they were in great shape. And, I had spent probably like $50 on them or something because there was like a sale because it was freaking Christmas in July during the pandemic. Everything was on sale.
Right.
And, and there were these cute nude patent leather pumps. They were adorable.
Yeah.
And this person had the audacity to offer $12 for them. And that was it. Like, that was the only offer I ever got. And I was like, no, I'm not selling these for $12. I guess I'll just, Anyway, I take all these clothes. And some of it had, like, tags on it still. And we're talking like this was like I bought a bunch of clothes from Good American. And if you know that brand, it's not cheap stuff.
No, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap stuff. And so some of these articles like still had tags on them, and I was taking them to boutique thrift stuff where it was like they were allegedly buying back, like designer clothing, stuff like that. I went to 6 stores in one day. No one wanted anything.
What?
And I was like, this has tags on it. You don't want it. And they're like, no, it's just not going to sell here. I'm like, what? It wasn't until I got to the final spot where I was really annoyed because there was this man who had a pile of stuff. So I knew he was in the know.
He knew.
I'm not clued in. I'm not a thrifter. I was just like, I need to get this stuff out of my life because I was feeling bad that it was just in my closet. And I was also just like, it was just a reminder of my foolishness. That's what it was. It was just a physical representation of foolish decisions that I had made with my money.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted it out of my house, out of sight, out of mind, take the L, call it a day, kind of thing. Maybe try and make a little bit of money back. But this guy was like, the lady had basically told me, this also included like some nice handbags too. And not anything like super designer, but decent designer. And I take good care of my stuff, so everything was in good shape.
Yeah,
and
you do. You do take good care of it.
I think I was given $50 for 2 very large handbags. And I was like, what the heck? These were not 50. These were
$25 a piece.
Yeah.
Basically.
Maybe that's what it cost to make them. But anyway.
Not what you paid.
I digress. So this guy's like eyeballing my stuff. And I knew. I just knew that he knew where to take it. And I knew that he was going to get money. He's like, you want me to take that off your hands? I could do it. He's like, I know a shop that I can take this to. And instead of me being like, well, where is it? Because I'll go and sell my stuff there. But I was like, I was so fed up because I had spent
I'm
way
done.
too much time doing this. So, this was like the 5th or 6th place that I had been to. And I was like, here, take all of it. Thank you so much. Just here you go. And I'm sure that guy made some decent money off of this clothing. So meant nothing. Did nothing for me.
Yeah.
I had this weird idea that I was like, I don't know.
That's funny.
That men were just going to be knocking down my door because I looked good. I felt good.
Boom, boom, boom. Let us in.
Turns out that was not the case. Just listen to the ghosting episode. You'll know.
Just listen. Mine, too, has to do with clothing.
Go on.
So there was a pair of knee-high, and also I will say, though, to this day, I'm kind of kicking myself that I don't have these boots. But for a while there was a pair of boots, and they were a knee-high black riding boot with a big gold zipper up the back. So cute.
Okay.
Looked for them, couldn't find them.
What year was this?
This would have been
Trying to get a visual.
2012.
Okay. Yeah.
So they were flat. They were very cute though at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
And so wanted them so bad. I kept looking. I would look online. I would check different stores. Couldn't find them. Anyways, my husband at the time, his parents found them, and I got them for Christmas. And I was freaking out. And the part of too, I maybe wore them once or twice. Oh, for them being such a I have to have these. I'm gonna wear them all the time. And then I maybe wore and granted, I don't wear my shoes a ton. For those who know me, I am very picky about when I wear my shoes. So there is that piece. But it was one of those I was like, I did not
picky, you're particular.
I'm particular. Like, I'm not going to wear some shoes when it's rainy. I'm going to keep some shoes in the box.
Of course.
All those things. But I think that was just one thing that I wanted those. And that was my sole focus on Christmas that year. And then to be like, I think I ended up giving them away later. Because I just was like, oh, I didn't wear them. Like, Okay, have you ever...
I know we've been talking... Because I feel like I go through cycles of that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I buy that?
Why did I buy this? But there's sometimes too, it's like, oh, I wish I still had that.
Yeah.
When there's stuff that you give away, and it's like, oh, why did I give that away?
Yep.
But I prefer the declutter even over that short feeling.
Yeah.
Anyways. Have you... Okay, so even in this midst of vanity, have you ever struggled with status and feeling like you need to prove yourself? So it's like our world screams vanity. You need all these things. You have to be all these things. Get. This should be your status. Have you ever struggled with that or feeling like you need to prove yourself?
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I have too, but I just.
Yeah. I've just, gone through some stuff in life and, Yeah, you're distracting me by standing
sorry.
up. She's just standing up because she's warm and her legs are sticking to the seat. That's what's going on.
Well, I've just sat a lot today, and so
You need to stand up.
I needed to stand up.
Yeah. Anyway,
I looked at Byron and I mouthed, "I need to stand up."
I saw that. Yeah.
I should have mouthed it to you.
Either way, this would have come about in the middle of the episode. But
Sorry.
no, it's okay. Yeah, I've thought about that a lot. I don't know exactly what I want to share about it, but
no, I can just even think I had a moment, and granted, this was even just the other day, and it was like a week, and I haven't had one of these in a very, very long time, but it did hit me where I just was like, I was just kind of, it was my prayer time, and I was crying. I was like, Lord, I'm almost, and I think it was like a realization, like my birthday's coming up and I'm about to be 39, and just like my life looks nothing like I ever thought my life would look like. And not in like not in like a woe is me, but I was just having a moment, and I was just crying, and I was just like, this is nothing that I thought like my life, like you had for my life. And I was just like, I'm about to be 39. What, not to say like, what do I have to show for it? But it was just like that series of all the things that I felt like I failed in, or that like where I had even now, like even post, like, okay, post divorce, post all these things, like where I thought I should be by now, post divorce, like all my ideas that I thought that I would have, you know, gosh, what was it? When did I get divorced? I was 33. Well, it was, so, I mean, 6 years. So, and it's just like, oh, my life is nowhere, even in the past 6 years, nowhere where I thought it would be.
You were 33 when you got divorced?
Uh-huh.
So was I. Isn't that funny?
Well, 32 when he filed, 33 when it was final.
Yeah.
No, wait. I was 32. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was 32.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, gosh, that's even
That
6.
been
So
cool.
it'd be 7. That would have been cool. Sorry. So 7 years after, and my life still looks nothing like I thought it would.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to grapple with.
And so that was just like, and it was feeling, not for feeling like lack of trying or am I doing the wrong things or whatnot, but just that wrestle of, is this really my life? And this is the life that, like, this is not how I ever pictured my life to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I know like people wrestle with that all the time, but I was just having a moment like that, the other day in prayer. And I just cried, and I was like, I'm about to be 39, and what's to show for it? Like, just kind of had that moment.
Well, yeah, and that's understandable too, because it's like, you know, life happens. Like, everything that you've gone through is a result of the actions of somebody else, you know?
Mm.
And so that's kind of, that's hard to bear, because it's like you had no control or say in the matter.
Right.
I mean, yours is a little different because he filed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I filed, but at the same time, it was like I also didn't feel like I had much of a choice but to do that, because I knew
I don't feel like you had a choice but to do that.
Yeah, because I knew that I didn't want to know the version of myself that I would turn into had I tried to reconcile.
Oh, and I feel like you had
But it was also, it was like, okay, if there are any alarm bells that are going off that you shouldn't have even gotten into this in the first place, please let this be that final one that gets you to get out of a relationship that God didn't bless in the anyway. So
yeah.
So
I think that was just,
or like, yeah, that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to grapple with. Like, just me to you. That's like, I mean,
it's hard.
It's understandable, because it's like you married this person despite any flaws, any little undertones, things like that may or may not have been something you were picking up on at any point in your marriage or whatever. And like you had zero control. And I think that was probably something that just rocked you a lot, because you and I are both control freaks.
100%.
And are trying to recover from trying to have a steel grip on everything in life. And then when something like that, it completely out of your control.
Well, I think it's too, like you said it that way. It's almost like, oh, thanks for deciding this for my life. For me. Like just that feeling of like, oh, cool. You picked that for me. Thank you.
This is literally like what happened. What happened to me was the result of somebody who was living a hedonistic lifestyle. She doesn't know, so it's not going to
hurt her.
She don't know.
Actually,
So,
it does.
As long as I'm not physically hurting anyone.
Right.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
I don't even know what was going through his head, but that's just kind of some of the things that I imagine.
I don't know if anything was. Maybe not. Who's to say?
Who's to say is right.
But yeah, I think that was just, I mean, that's even as of recent where it's like, and I see, and it's one of those things too. It's like, I know I'll have a family, but even in just looking around, like you see people all your age with their families and you don't. And, at the same time too, like I love the stage of life I'm in. I'm so grateful for a second shot at it, but it doesn't mean that there's not moments or even in dating, like you look around and you compare your dating relationship to others' dating relationship. And it's like, so I think there's always going to be that no matter what stage of life you're in, there's always going to be that. Like mine's not like fill in the blank for whatever it is.
I don't think there's anything wrong with going, wow, my life is definitely not what I thought it was going to be at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's totally fine. That's normal. But like, it's where you can't.
And then it's where you get to that, like, I think the big piece is trusting that sovereignty of God, where it's like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I also know that, and I relate this to my dog, and I know I'm not a dog, but I would do anything for my dog. I see you, Holly. Not that you'll ever hear this. But I think of like, I would do anything. And if I knew anything was going to hurt her, watch out. Like, it's game over. Like, if anything was going to try to, and it's just like, if that's me to a dog, how much more is our Father to us?
Yeah.
And so, because I don't have like a child to represent that, and I am my dog. But like, that side of there's a sovereignty of there's things I don't know and coming to rest with that. And I think when we let go of having to know everything or the whys, I think we start to walk in a lot more peace than what we think we need.
Yeah.
When we let go of the need to know.
Yeah. I agree.
But
that's really good.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
have any other thoughts on it.
Yeah. This is a short and sweet one.
This was a short and sweet one.
Yeah. Well,
not like Solomon's love life. There you go. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways,
go look him up.
Go look him up.
He's an interesting character.
He's an interesting character.
Read the book of Ecclesiastes and then ask yourself if the pursuits of this world are really worth it. Because this guy will confirm, no.
They are not.
No, they are not.
All right. We love y'all.
Be well.
Bye.